Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Face masks have become compulsory for residents in Australia's second most populous city of Melbourne as the country posted another single-day record rise in coronavirus cases. Australia has recorded over 500 new infections in 24 hours, its highest since the epidemic began in March. Its death toll also rose by 2 to 128. Victoria State, of which Melbourne is the capital, accounted for most of the new cases.
And unless we have people who get tested staying at home and isolating until they get their results, then we will not see these numbers come down. They will continue to go up and up. And a 6-week shutdown will not be for 6 weeks. It will run for much longer than that.
Today, I have the mask right here.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has admitted that the crisis is likely to get worse before it gets better and has asked Americans to wear face masks if they cannot maintain social distance.
Will probably, unfortunately, get worse before it gets better. Something I don't like saying about things, but that's the way it is. It's what we have. You look over the world, it's all over the world.
Authorities in the Indian Kashmir Valley have imposed a 6-day lockdown following a spike in cases. The region has recorded more than 15,000 cases so far, with 260 deaths. The lockdown comes a day after the government cancelled a famous Hindu pilgrimage to a cave temple in the Himalayas. The US has ordered China to close its consulate in Houston by Friday, a move described as political provocation by Beijing. The US State Department said the decision was taken in order to protect American intellectual property, but China's Foreign Ministry spokesman, Wang Weibin, said it was outrageous and unjustified. The statements came after unidentified individuals were filmed burning paper in bins in the building's courtyard. Meanwhile, a huge crowd of protesters in the American city of Portland danced and cheered after pushing back federal police as demonstrations against police brutality and systemic racism continued overnight. Earlier, protesters and members of the media were seen huddled behind umbrellas, hiding from stun grenades, and smoke rose from tear gas fired by both local police and federal officers. Israeli police have evicted dozens of demonstrators who blocked roads near Parliament in a protest against a bill that would give the government sweeping powers in the fight against coronavirus pandemic. The eviction comes the day after around 2,000 Israelis rallied outside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's residence and marched to the Knesset over his handling of a worsening coronavirus crisis and alleged corruption. Protesters have demanded that the 5-term premier step down. Andrew Mlangeni, the last surviving anti-apartheid activist convicted with Nelson Mandela at South Africa's infamous Rivonia trial, has died at the age of 95. Mlangeni died after being admitted to a military hospital in Pretoria because of an abdominal complaint. President Cyril Ramaphosa has said his death signifies the end of a generational history and places our future squarely in our hands. Meanwhile, power cuts have returned across South Africa as the country has once again tightened its lockdown amid soaring infections, now past the 350,000 mark. The state utility Eskom's resumption of power outages for the first time in more than 3 months has ended a period of stable supply that allowed parents and businesses to work under lockdown. But power cuts have returned, along with the frustration of an unstable internet, lost revenue and restless children. Chinese authorities have evacuated thousands of residents across southern China as record-level floods caused by heavy rainfall have submerged entire villages. China's State Weather Bureau has said the country has been hit by a fresh round of torrential rain this week, further raising flood risks throughout the country. Red alerts have been declared in the provinces of Anhui and Jiangxi, which are bisected by the Yangtze River. Britain's Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have shared new photographs of their son Prince George to mark his 7th birthday. William and Kate's 3 children are rarely seen in public, and few photographs of them are released, but it has become a tradition for snapshots taken by Kate to be published on special occasions. And finally, the Italian luxury group Valentino has live-streamed an Haute Couture show in Rome's Cinecittà film studios with models dangling from swings with flowing white gowns. Since the coronavirus pandemic began, fashion houses have been forced to find creative ways of replacing traditional catwalk shows with other formats to showcase their collections. Valentino designer Pier Paolo Piccioli said the lockdown has been difficult, but his show wanted to send a message of hope and positivity. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.